I got to a point where my senses were tuned to every physical, verbal, emotional, even spiritual tremor in the crew. Who looks like he's about to lose his temper? Who's worried about his kid? Who's limping? Who's feeling sorry for himself? Who needs to be coached? Who needs to be challenged? And what he found was that it was actually easier for him to go through the training because his whole focus was on the people around him. Now, in the natural, someone would say, well, that's because it's distracting. It's a way to distract yourself from what's going on. I really believe that there's more, as it is with the kingdom of heaven in most dimensions. There's much more going on. We draw our strength for our own battles when we live outside of ourselves. And it's not a matter of mind game distractions. Because if that was the case, people would succeed in life watching TV and doing everything that we do naturally to distract ourselves from dealing with our lives. In the kingdom, when God's power flows through you for others, you benefit. That's what I think is going on. And that's what I think this Navy SEAL discovered. And to a certain extent, Evan, because he's not a designated leader, but he found that when he was passing that brick around, because he was focused on trying to give the other three guys as much rest as possible, the exercise didn't seem that hard to him. He also found this once in a log carry. They have them carry these big logs for miles running up and down hills and stuff like that. His team had already been told, they were in an exercise that they had been told, it pays to be a winner. And Evan realized that these guys were falling all over themselves, and none of them were in as good a shape as he was. So what he did was there were 7 of them, he booted 3 of them off. And he said, okay, 4 of us will carry the log, and then you 3 switch out with you 3, and we'll just keep moving. And that meant that he had to carry the log for a much more significant time than the rest of the guys, but they really started to move. And again, it was because he was focused on the other guys as opposed to focus on his own problems. In the kingdom of heaven, it's not a matter of distraction. It's a matter of God's power and love flowing through us. And when that happens, you benefit. Of course, the other people benefit too. But that's the nature of God. He's not going to say, well, again, when we talk about his purposes, sometimes we mistake thinking his purposes got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with you. That's how great God is. That he can accomplish his purposes for your greatest good. Last takeaway. When Evan was passing that brick log, 3 guys, after the exercise was over, they finished passing the brick, and then they finished picking up all the tires and stuff that the drill instructors had thrown into the pool. And in fact, it might have been a few hours later, one of the 3 Marines came back and thanked Evan. Of course, it was no big deal to Evan. But as someone who was walking through the process, I told him, I said, that was a big deal. Because, 1, Evan developed history with those 3 guys. Forever. Eternally. And he developed more history with that one guy who came back. If you asked Evan, this is a passing interchange. Something that lasted no more than probably 45 seconds. I would contend that in the case of kingdom community, there is something going on here that is far beyond our natural understanding. One of the things that I think we don't understand, and I certainly don't understand, the eternal nature of relationships. Now let's assume that when we die, we go to heaven. Now, I don't know if we go to heaven. I mean, there's nothing in the scriptures that say we go to heaven. There's Jesus who said to the thief, "You'll be with me in paradise." All I know is we go to be with Jesus. But let's call it heaven. Wherever Jesus is, when we die, we go to heaven. We'll call that heaven. What is your concept about relationships in heaven?
Eternal peace.
Eternal peace? But do you know people?
Yes.
Who do you know?
Well, I know my daughter. My daughter's in heaven.
Okay.
And I know her.
Yes.
And she'll be at the gates just waiting for me to come.
Okay. And will your relationship to your daughter be fully formed?
Yes.
Okay.
There'll be no hindrance, you'll know each other because it won't have all this stuff that we deal with here on earth. So
Separate
God's
from
love, we'll be bound together by God's love, and so we'll have better insight and understanding on.
How about the people who are there that you don't like? That don't like you?
But
That
all
won't
that
happen.
flesh will be gone. The flesh will be there. It'll be gone.
So will we immediately transform?
Yes.
I'm counting on it, brother.
Forever faithful.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Because I think we have this impression that everything, when we go to the other side, when we get to heaven, what we know in part, we see through a glass darkly here, but we see everything, we know everything. We are fully formed in the likeness of Jesus. Then what's the point?
All the things of the world will be gone.
Yes.
We've learned, and we will be at peace with one another.
And it'll be the world that God created. Because when God created the world, it was a mirror image of what heaven would be. Kind of like a nation, and then you send out a colony, right, to develop a new world, right?
Right?
Well, God sent us from heaven to this new world here, which is the earth, as a colony, and it was supposed to be
Yes.
exactly the same. But because of Satan and deception and him deceiving Eve, then that opened the door for the devil to come here.
Josh?
If it was supposed to be a mirror image, there was also temptation in it. So it was to say, there's no temptation in heaven, but we can probably find it.
I don't know. We don't know that. We know that there will be no tears.
No
No
pain.
sorrow,
No
no
pain.
pain.
Will we always get our way? Will we have a way?
No, but we won't always insist on our way because the flesh is crucified. Christ was crucified in the flesh, and then we're supposed to be like that when we contend with that constantly down here, up there, wherever. We won't have to deal with that. It says
The
it wipes
enemy-
away all our tears.
The enemy is here upon the world.
Yes.
We deal with him every day.
Yes.
In heaven, he is not there. If
Yes.
there is no enemy, there can only be what? Love. Love and peace.
Okay.
Is not the enemy upon this world? Every day we deal with it. In our own minds, in the flesh, all the things that we deal with every day. The
Well,
enemy is here.
without turning this into a heavy theological debate. No, seriously, because you have a different opinion than I do. we are instantaneously transformed when we die into the full likeness of Jesus, then there is no point in spiritual transformation here. Absolutely no point. What's the point?
It's a work in progress.
Yes, it's a work in progress, but if you're, once